If you train in the gym, you don't ignore the weights, you confront them, you grab them, you lift them, and you feel the strain because you know the strain is the path to growth. The crisis is no different. You don't hide from it, you lock eyes with it. You say to yourself, I see you and I'm not backing down. Power respects power. It's a universal truth that has been proven over and over in history. When you look at the way the world works, you will realize that nobody listens to the weak, nobody fears the hesitant, and nobody follows the uncertain. The ones who shape the future are those who show the world that they have the strength, the discipline, and the willpower to stand tall no matter how big the challenge is. This is exactly what we are seeing right now. India is not asking for recognition anymore. It is taking it. It is not waiting for someone to give it a seat at the table. It is building its own table. When a country does that, it doesn't just get noticed, it becomes impossible to ignore. That is when even the most powerful leaders in the world start paying attention. This is not about arrogance, it's about earning respect through action. Respect is not something you can demand with words, it's something you prove by showing results. Think about the gym. You can't walk in, point at the heaviest weights, and expect people to believe you're the strongest. You have to lift them day after day, rep after rep, until the results speak louder than any claim you could make. That's exactly what India is doing. For decades, people underestimated its potential, but instead of wasting time arguing, it kept working, building industries, advancing technology, improving defense capabilities, and fueling economic growth. And now the results are too big to ignore. When you become strong, the dynamic changes. People who once saw you as an afterthought begin to see you as a rival. They might smile in public, but behind closed doors, they're calculating how to deal with your rise. That's the reality of power. It attracts both admiration and concern. And that's why even those who never feared you before start paying attention to your every move. It's not because they suddenly like you. It's because they realize you're now a force they must reckon with. Strength, however, is not just physical or economic, it's also about mindset. You can have the biggest army, the fastest growing economy, and the latest technology, but if you lack the mindset of a leader, you will always be seen as a follower. What makes India stand out now is that it's not just stronger, it's acting stronger. It's walking onto the global stage with confidence. It's speaking its mind in international forums. It's making decisions based on its own interests, not just following the crowd. That's when other nations begin to feel uneasy, because confidence backed by capability is one of the most dangerous combinations in the world. Every leader, every nation, every competitor understands this. The moment you stop being a background player and start setting the pace, you change the game for everyone else. When you stand up straight, look the world in the eye and say, I know my value and I will not step back. The energy shifts. That's what is happening now. The rise of India is not a temporary spike, it's the result of years of disciplined preparation and unshakable belief in its own potential. And when that kind of power shows up, the whole world takes notice, especially those who used to think they were untouchable. The world listens to the sound of progress, not excuses. You can talk all day about what you plan to do, but unless you show results, no one truly pays attention. Progress is a language everyone understands. It's universal and it speaks louder than any speech. That is exactly what is happening with India right now. The numbers don't lie. The growth rate, the innovation, the scale of development, these things are impossible to ignore. When a country's economy starts climbing at a pace that outshines many established powers, it sends a clear signal: this is a nation on the rise and it's here to stay. Think about it like building your body in the gym. In the beginning, nobody notices you. You're just another face in the crowd, lifting light weights, trying to figure out the form, but you keep going day after day, not for applause, but for the result. Then one day, the changes become visible. People start asking you for tips. They wonder what you're eating, how you're training, and they start seeing you differently. That's the same transformation India has gone through on the global economic stage. Years of hard work, smart decisions, and relentless drive have taken it from being underestimated to being one of the most talked about growth engines in the world. Economic muscles speak louder than words because they affect everything: trade, politics, defense, influence. A booming economy means you can invest more in technology, infrastructure, and education. It means you can strengthen your defense, improve your healthcare, and provide opportunities for your people. And when a nation does that consistently, it becomes a magnet for investment, talent, and partnerships. Others start seeing it not as a follower, but as a leader in the making. That is why even powerful countries pay attention. They know that money is not just money, it is power, and power changes the balance in every conversation. This kind of growth doesn't happen by accident. It comes from vision, discipline, and the courage to make bold moves. It comes from leaders and entrepreneurs willing to take risks, to innovate, and to push past the comfort zone. It comes from a population that is ready to work hard, adapt, and compete on a global level. That combination of ambition and execution is rare, and when it appears, the world notices. When you start winning in the economy, you also start winning in influence. The products you make travel across borders. Your technology becomes essential to other countries. Your voice in trade negotiations carries weight, and when you can influence the global supply chain, you influence the direction of the world itself. That is what makes competitors nervous, because they know they cannot simply ignore you or push you aside. You have become too valuable, too central to the game. Of course, with economic power comes competition. Others will try to match you, outpace you, or undermine you. But that's the mark of true success. When you become the benchmark everyone is trying to beat. It's a sign you've moved from being an observer to being a player, from a challenger to a contender. The truth is, the world doesn't listen to excuses, it listens to results. It respects the hustle, the innovation, and the relentless drive to keep moving forward no matter what obstacles come your way. India's economic rise is not just about money, it's about proving that with vision, discipline, and hard work, you can go from being underestimated to being unstoppable. And that's a sound the whole world hears loud and clear. In the game of global influence, every move matters. Nations are like players on a giant chessboard, and the ones who win are not always the biggest or the strongest. They're the ones who think ahead, who anticipate, and who position themselves where they can control the flow of the game. India has been making moves that are not random but calculated, and that's why even the biggest powers in the world are watching closely. These moves are strategic, deliberate, and aimed at building long-term strength, not just short-term wins. When you're strategic, you don't always go for the flashy victory. You build alliances where they count. You invest in technology that will matter 10 years from now, and you strengthen your defense not just to protect yourself, but to deter anyone from thinking they can challenge you. That's exactly what India has been doing, forming relationships with nations across the globe, engaging in trade deals that open new doors, and expanding its influence in regions where it once had little presence. Every handshake, every agreement, every partnership is part of a bigger picture. It's like in bodybuilding, you don't build an entire physique by working on your arms for one day and then forgetting the rest. You train every muscle group, you maintain balance, and you focus on symmetry. In geopolitics, the same principle applies. India is not just focusing on one area, it's strengthening its economy, improving infrastructure, developing military capabilities, and enhancing its position in international organizations. Each of these elements supports the others, creating a stronger, more resilient nation. Technology is a major part of this strategy. The world is moving toward a future where data, innovation, and artificial intelligence are as valuable as oil once was. By investing heavily in tech industries, digital infrastructure, and research, India is ensuring it will not just be a consumer in the new world order, it will be a producer, a leader, and an innovator. This is why its space program, digital payment systems, and startup ecosystem matter so much. They're not just about progress today, they're about influence tomorrow. Defense is another key move. In a world where tensions can flare up without warning, a strong and modern defense system is not optional, it's essential. India's investments in advanced weapons, homegrown defense manufacturing, and strategic military partnerships are all part of the plan to ensure it's never caught off guard. A nation that can defend itself confidently also negotiates confidently because it knows its security is in its own hands. These strategic moves change how others see you. When you start making decisions that protect your interests and expand your influence, the balance of power shifts. You're no longer a background player in someone else's game, you're shaping the game itself. And when that happens, even the most dominant nations start rethinking their strategies. They watch you, they analyze you, and yes, they worry about how your rise might affect their own position. This is what makes giants nervous, not just your current strength, but the fact that you're thinking ahead, building for the future, and not relying on luck. Strategy is the art of making moves today that will make you unstoppable tomorrow. That's exactly what India is doing, and it's why its presence is growing on the global stage, because in the end, the game isn't won by those who react, it's won by those who plan, execute, and stay 2 steps ahead at all times. 1.4 billion people with ambition are not just numbers on a chart, they are a living, breathing force of possibility. When you have a population that large, you don't just have workers, you have innovators, dreamers, leaders, and problem solvers. You have an ocean of potential that, if guided and developed, can change the course of history. That is exactly the advantage India holds right now. It's not just about having the world's largest population, it's about the energy, the drive, and the hunger for progress that so many of those people carry within them. A large population is like a massive army, but this army doesn't just fight on battlefields, it competes in classrooms, builds businesses, develops technology, and drives industries forward. It's the collective effort of millions of minds and hands working toward a better future that makes a country unstoppable. Of course, size alone isn't enough. Potential must be paired with vision, education, and opportunity. Without direction, even the largest force can scatter and lose impact. But when that force is focused, when it's united under a common goal, it becomes one of the most powerful assets a nation can have. Look at the way India's young generation is stepping into the world. They are coding, designing, inventing, and leading in industries all over the globe. From Silicon Valley to Singapore, Indian talent is making waves. And back home, this same talent is fueling startups, revolutionizing industries, and solving local challenges with global-level solutions. The population is not just growing in size, it's growing in capability. That's what makes this moment in history so critical. The more a nation invests in its people through education, skill development, and infrastructure, the more it unlocks that hidden power. It's like having a gym full of people who are ready to train. If you give them the right equipment, the right guidance, and the right mindset, you will see incredible results. But if you neglect them, the potential goes to waste. India is increasingly aware of this truth, and it's channeling resources to make sure its vast human capital is prepared for the future. That means building schools, universities, and training centers. It means embracing technology and education. It means creating an environment where ambition isn't crushed by lack of opportunity, but fueled by the possibility of success. The power of a population is also in its diversity, across languages, cultures, and traditions. India holds a mix of perspectives that can spark creativity like nowhere else. Different ways of thinking lead to unique solutions, and in a rapidly changing world, adaptability is everything. This diversity, combined with a shared sense of progress, can produce innovation at a scale that few nations can match. From a geopolitical perspective, this is exactly why such a large, ambitious population is a game changer. It means a huge domestic market for goods and services. It means a workforce that can power industries for decades to come. And it means influence not just through trade, but through culture, ideas, and values that reach far beyond national borders. When a nation of over 1 billion people starts believing in its own potential, the rest of the world takes notice. That's why a country like India, with its population waking up to its own strength, makes others pay attention. Numbers are not just statistics. They are the building blocks of economic growth, innovation, and global power. And when those numbers are fueled by ambition and guided by vision, they can shift the balance of the world itself. What truly makes others nervous is not just what you have, it's how you carry it. You can have wealth, military strength, and cutting-edge technology, but if you approach the world timidly, the impact will always be limited. Confidence changes everything. It is the invisible weapon that can turn resources into real power. And right now, India is walking onto the global stage with a level of confidence that is hard to ignore. This is not the shaky confidence that comes from a lucky break. It's the steady, unshakable confidence that comes from years of hard work, preparation, and proven results. Confidence backed by action is the most dangerous combination in the world. It's like stepping into a competition where everyone underestimated you, and then showing them you've trained harder, studied more, and prepared better than anyone else. That's the kind of energy India is bringing to international politics, trade negotiations, and strategic discussions. There's a difference between talking big and standing tall, and the world is starting to see that difference in action. When a nation is confident, it doesn't seek validation. It makes decisions that align with its own goals and values. It doesn't get easily swayed by outside pressure, and it doesn't compromise its position just to keep others happy. India is now making moves that show it knows its worth, whether it's setting its own terms in trade, taking a strong stance in diplomatic matters, or refusing to be sidelined in global debates. That kind of posture doesn't just attract respect, it forces others to treat you as an equal. Confidence also inspires. Just as in the gym, when someone trains with absolute focus and belief in themselves, others notice. They might feel motivated or they might feel threatened, but either way, they can't ignore it. On the world stage, this is exactly what's happening. India's confidence is motivating allies and making rivals cautious, and in geopolitics, making others cautious is often a victory in itself because it changes how they engage with you. This confidence is not blind arrogance. Arrogance is when you assume you're the best without putting in the work. True confidence is built from effort, discipline, and consistent performance. It's knowing that when challenges come, you have the skill, the resources, and the will to face them. That is what makes this new phase in India's rise so powerful. It's not just a matter of potential anymore, it's proof backed by results. Another thing about confidence is that it's contagious. When leaders display it, the people start to feel it. When the people feel it, they start acting like they belong on the global stage too. This collective belief can transform industries, fuel innovation, and create a cultural shift where success becomes the expectation, not the exception. That's when a nation moves from growing to dominating. And here's the truth. The world often underestimates nations that don't project strength, but when a country shows up with confidence in every move, when it speaks clearly, acts decisively, and holds its ground, the global perception shifts. Suddenly, it's not just another participant in world affairs, it's a leader shaping the conversation. That's why confidence backed by action makes powerful people nervous, because they know that once you start believing you can stand alongside them, it's only a matter of time before you start outpacing them. And that is exactly why India's rise is not just about its resources, its population, or its economy. It's about the mindset that says, we're here, we're strong, and we're not backing down.